Hey, I want to speak just a little bit about internet memes and the role that they play in, I was going to say popular culture, but really the correct term would be the cyber world, because that's where they are predominant, of course. Um, the thing about internet memes, they've really taken off in recent years, and certain memes have become viral, often featuring famous people and celebrities who perhaps, let's say, it's a still from a well-known film and they've simply taken an image of that person in a still that provides a sort of good shot for putting in a quotation that, of course, wasn't said by them. An example would be Gene Wilder in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So that pose where he was talking to Charlie is now taken, and there's a speech bubble coming out with him making all sorts of comments on social issues. The late Gene Wilder, who of course had no control over that. Um, I think memes can be amusing, but they can also be problematic. You could take any social issue, and there will be a meme for it somewhere. Some memes are harmless; they can be just quotations that are quotations from a famous person. They can be humorous. They can be innocent. Some of them are very edgy, downright racist or sexist, homophobic. Um, Certainly, that sort of edgy humour can be used in a risque way. Sometimes that's clever. So basically, memes are symbolic of the cyber community in general. I have some concerns about them, and I'm not saying that they don't have their use. I have posted memes that were quite clever or touching on a particular subject that really makes a political statement in one image. I'll come to that in a second. But one concern that you have with memes is sometimes you'll see a random person in them, and it could be someone maybe crying or whatever, and it could be taken from some particular protest or something, but then that becomes a viral thing. And without the person's permission, it turns into this phenomenon. Now, the problem with the internet is it's very difficult to police, and it shouldn't be policed. But put it this way: if someone took a picture of me and it ended up in the internet, and then that became a meme, I'd feel a bit uneasy about it. I know there was a Chinese model, and she said her life was ruined because she became the focus of a meme. I forget what the context was, but that's why I'm always reluctant to post memes showing just random people as opposed to someone famous. And even with someone famous, it's problematic because it isn't a direct quote. Although, at least with a famous person, most people would know that. So they know, for example, Gene Wilder wouldn't have said something about transgender people or whatever the particular message is. With regular people, there's a chance the person did say it because they're not well known. So memes can actually tarnish someone's reputation by attributing a quote to them which they may never have said, which in all likelihood they didn't say. So I do think that's problematic. But like I say, they can also be a powerful statement. They're sort of satire. In a sense, they are post satire. That is to say that in the 20th century and just before that, going back to the 18th century, satire was used in newspapers as a way to make political comment in one image, one cartoon. And satire has a strong place in popular culture. In a sense, memes can perhaps be classed as modern satire. So, for instance, you would have, I'll give an example of one, and it came from a men's rights group. It showed this homeless old guy on the street, and he was basically a tramp. He was disheveled, he was dirty, he had a long beard, and it showed three young women walking past with shopping bags, clearly quite well off. And the mem said something along the lines of, "Tell me more about male privilege." So the message with that was that it was pointing out feminist double standards in terms of talking about male privilege versus the reality that some men face. The majority of homeless people are male. Another one, again from a men's rights group, showed World War I cemeteries with row after row after row of men who'd been killed in the trenches. And again, feminism tell us more about male privilege. That's just an example. There's many, many others that are making political statements. So I think it can be sort of classed as modern satire, whether you agree with it or not. It can have some weight, and it's increasingly being used as a political weapon by both sides, by both left and right. The only thing I would say about memes, I'm not either entirely for them or entirely against them. I do think they can have a role, but people must always remember that they are a fabrication of what it is showing. And I do feel slightly uneasy about using images without someone's permission. Kind of, I mean, take for example the homeless man and the three young women. What the viewer takes away is the three young women are stuck up and they don't care. Well, we just don't know that. For all we know, like after that shot was taken, they gave the guy some change. We just don't know, and that's the problem with memes. They they cast a prejudice in the viewer's mind based on an image, and I think that's somewhat problematic. So I think memes have their place as satire, but we must remember that's solely what they really are. I don't think memes should be taken literally. They can be witty, they can be smart, and like I say, one meme can speak 1,000 words. In that sense, it really is modern day satire. So let me know your thoughts. Are memes a problem? Are they a nuisance? Or are they just a useful modern form of satire? I'm somewhere in the middle. I could definitely see problems with them, but I also think some of them are quite witty, and I admit I've used a few. Um, Although I don't use the ones that show kind of regular people, I tend to use more innocent memes, not ones that are particularly risky for that reason. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.